What happens when the biggest boy band on Earth decides the rule book doesn't apply to them? Big Hit Entertainment built BTS with discipline, strict contracts, and zero tolerance for rebellion. But behind the cameras, 7 members quietly shattered those very rules. Some got caught, some got away with it, and one broke a rule so boldly it left millions of fans speechless. Here are 7 they didn't want you to know.
Number 7. Jin, the rebel who ate on camera. In the K-pop industry, diet control isn't a suggestion. It's practically written into the contract. Big Hit Entertainment, like every major agency in South Korea, maintained strict dietary guidelines for its artists, especially in the weeks leading up to comebacks, music show appearances, and award season performances. Idols are expected to look a certain way under HD cameras and stage lighting, and that expectation translates into carefully monitored meal plans, calorie restrictions, and in some cases, weigh-ins supervised by management staff. BTS members themselves have confirmed this pressure on multiple occasions throughout their career. Jin once revealed during a live broadcast that during the Blood, Sweat, and Tears era in 2016, he restricted himself to just 1 meal a day for 10 consecutive days, desperate to achieve the sharp jawline and slim frame the camera demanded. Suga has spoken about surviving on little food during their trainee years when money was tight and discipline was enforced. This was the environment, controlled, strict, and unforgiving. And then there was Kim Seok Jin. Jin did not just bend the diet rule, he turned breaking it into content. In 2016, he launched a personal broadcast series on V-Life called Eat Jin, where he sat in front of a camera and did exactly what the title promised. He ate, not salads, not portioned meals approved by a nutritionist, full, unapologetic meals, burgers, fried chicken, lamb skewers, noodles, pizza, lobster, whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, broadcast live to millions of fans around the world. The series became legendary. It was mukbang before mukbang dominated the internet, and it was a direct, visible contradiction to the image-obsessed diet culture that every other idol in the industry was quietly suffering under. What made this remarkable was not just the act of eating on camera, but the context in which he did it. BTS was still climbing during those years. They had not yet reached the global dominance that would later give them leverage. Jin was an idol in a mid-tier group at the time, openly doing something that went against what management recommended, and he did it with a smile. In behind-the-scenes content from Bon Voyage and Run BTS, Jin was consistently the member most likely to be spotted with snacks, ordering extra food, or convincing others to eat with him rather than skip meals. While staff might have raised an eyebrow, Jin never apologized for it. He treated food not as the enemy of his idol image, but as something essential and joyful, and he refused to let the industry's obsession with thinness dictate how he lived. Over time, Eat Jin did not damage his career, it boosted it. Fans loved the honesty. They loved that one member of the biggest rising group in K-pop was publicly choosing health and happiness over starvation. It became part of his identity, his love for cooking, for sharing meals, for finding the best restaurants in every city BTS toured. All of it grew from that initial decision to break the unspoken rule that idols should always look hungry. Was it a dramatic rebellion? No, but in an industry where young artists have been hospitalized for malnutrition and eating disorders, Jin choosing to eat freely and broadcast it to the world was quietly one of the most defiant things a big hit artist ever did. And that's only number 7, which means the rules broken ahead of this one hit even harder.
Number 6. Suga, the underground fire they couldn't control. Before Min Yoongi ever became Suga of BTS, he was already a rapper. Not the kind of rapper an entertainment company molds from scratch. A real battle-tested underground MC from Daegu, performing under the name Gloss, writing verses about poverty, mental illness, and the system that kept kids like him invisible. When Big Hit recruited him, Yoongi did not sign up to become an idol. He signed up to make music. But the company had different plans. Big Hit was building a boy group. Choreography, synchronized outfits, fan service, variety show appearances, everything Yoongi had spent his underground years rejecting. He has been open about how deeply this conflict tore at him. In interviews and behind-the-scenes documentaries, Suga admitted he considered leaving BigHit entirely because the idol system felt like a betrayal of what he believed hip-hop was supposed to be. He stayed, but he never fully surrendered. On August 15, 2016, Suga released a mixtape under the name August D. The letters of DT Suga reversed, DT standing for Daegu Town. He dropped it for free on SoundCloud, outside the normal promotional machinery of BigHit. The tape was aggressive, raw, laced with explicit language, and miles away from the polished image BTS presented on music shows. It was not a BTS sidetrack, it was Min Yoongi unfiltered. And then came the song that changed everything, The Last. In that single track, Suga revealed what no K-pop idol at that level had ever publicly admitted. He rapped about being diagnosed with social anxiety disorder, depression, and obsessive-compulsive disorder. He rapped about seeing a psychiatrist. He described panic attacks and the weight of performing in front of thousands while his mind was collapsing. In 2016, mental health was still deeply stigmatized in South Korean public life, and for an idol in one of the rising groups to put that on record was not just brave, it was a direct challenge to an industry that demanded perfection and silence. BigHit allowed the release, but the creative control Suga exercised went further than their internal review processes were designed to handle. That became undeniable in May 2020 when he released his second mixtape, D2. One of its tracks, What Do You Think?, originally contained a sampled sermon from Jim Jones, the cult leader responsible for the Jonestown Massacre in 1978 that killed over 900 people. The sample sparked immediate global backlash. BigHit issued a formal apology, and the audio was pulled and replaced. The fact that the sample made it into the public release at all told the world something important. Suga was operating with a level of creative independence that exceeded what BigHit's internal review process was meant to permit. His content was not being filtered through the same approval layers that governed BTS releases. He had carved out a space where his voice came first, and the company caught up after the fact. By the time his third album, D-Day, dropped in 2023, the August D project had become one of the most critically respected solo bodies of work in K-pop history. But none of it would have existed if Suga had followed the rules the way they were written. BigHit wanted an idol. Yoongi gave them one, but he kept the underground rapper alive in a room they could not fully supervise. And if that level of creative defiance only lands at number 6, you are not ready for what comes next.
Number 5, RM, the walking spoiler. BigHit Entertainment has one content rule that every staff member, every manager, and every executive has tried to enforce with absolute consistency. Do not spoil the comeback. In K-pop, the comeback is sacred. Months of production, choreography development, concept design, music video filming, and marketing strategy all build toward a single, carefully orchestrated reveal. Every detail is controlled. Teasers drop on a schedule. Concept photos release in a specific order. Track lists are guarded like classified documents. The entire system depends on secrecy, surprise, and the explosive moment when fans finally see what their group has been working on. BigHit invested enormous resources into these rollout strategies, and the one thing that could destroy all of it was a member opening their mouth at the wrong time. Enter Kim Namjoon. RM did not spoil things because he was careless. He spoiled things because his brain moved faster than the company's embargo schedule. During live broadcasts on V-Live and later Weavers, RM developed a pattern that BigHit staff learned to dread. He would sit in his studio, talking casually to fans, and then play music. Not old tracks, not safe, already released songs. Unreleased music, snippets of works in progress that had not been cleared for public ears. Fans watching in real time would hear melodies, beats, and sometimes even lyric fragments from songs that were weeks or months away from official release. The clips would be screen recorded instantly, dissected by fan accounts within minutes, and spread across every social media platform before BigHit could even consider issuing a takedown. But the music was only part of it. RM had another spoiler method that was even harder for the company to control: his recommendations. Namjoon is a well-known reader,
art enthusiast and cultural consumer. He regularly shared the books he was reading, the exhibitions he visited, the films he watched, and the artists he was listening to. Fans eventually realized these were not random shares, they were breadcrumbs. The themes in the books he recommended would show up in the next album concept. The color palettes from art exhibitions he visited would appear in upcoming music video sets. The mood of the songs he shared aligned perfectly with the sonic direction BTS was heading. Whether RM was doing this intentionally or subconsciously absorbing and projecting the creative energy he was working with, the result was the same. Fans could reverse engineer upcoming concepts just by tracking what Namjoon was consuming publicly. Staff were seen and heard on camera during behind-the-scenes content, warning BTS members to guard their words, and other members openly called RM out for being loose with information. It became a running joke within the group, but for BigHit's marketing team, it was a real operational problem. The irony is that over time, the company realized they could not stop RM from being RM. Instead of fighting it, the spoiler culture that BTS accidentally created became part of the fan experience itself. ARMY turned spoiler hunting into a communal activity, analyzing every post, every live broadcast, every background detail for clues. What started as a rule violation evolved into one of the most effective engagement strategies in K-pop, and it was never planned. RM broke the spoiler rule so consistently that BigHit had to build their marketing around the fact that secrets in BTS had a very short shelf life. That kind of influence does not come from rebellion. It comes from a leader whose mind simply could not be contained by a corporate timeline. And if a leader bending the rules only gets to number 5, imagine what the members ranked above him actually did.
Number 4. Jimin, the one who refused to leave the stage. Every entertainment company in South Korea operates under one non-negotiable principle when it comes to artist health. If management says you rest, you rest. BigHit was no different. They had medical staff on standby during tours, health monitoring protocols during comeback preparations, and the authority to pull any member from a schedule if the physical risk became too high. This was not optional. It was a company directive designed to protect both the artist and the business. An injured idol means canceled shows, refunded tickets, and public scrutiny. So when BigHit told a member to sit out, the expectation was compliance. Park Jimin did not comply. The pattern became visible during the 2017 Wings Tour, one of the most physically demanding concert series BTS had undertaken at that point. The choreography was relentless. Every show pushed the members to their limits, but Jimin pushed past his. Behind the scenes, documented in the YouTube original series Burn the Stage, cameras captured what fans in the arena never saw. Jimin backstage, barely standing. Jimin being attended to by medical staff between songs. Jimin collapsing from a combination of exhaustion, dehydration, and the consequences of his own extreme diet restrictions that left his body running on almost nothing. Staff told him to stop. Members told him to stop. Management made it clear that sitting out a song or even an entire show was an acceptable option. The fans would understand, and his health came first. Jimin refused. He went back on stage every time. In his own words during live broadcasts and interviews, Jimin explained that he could not bear the thought of fans who had paid money, traveled long distances, and waited months for a concert only to see an incomplete performance. To him, resting felt like betrayal. That guilt, irrational as others might have seen it, overrode every company instruction and every medical recommendation. And this was not a one-time event. The pattern repeated across multiple tours and schedules. During the Love Yourself World Tour and the Map of the Soul Tour preparations, similar incidents occurred. Jimin would train harder than his body could sustain, restrict his eating beyond what any nutritionist would approve, and then perform with a ferocity that masked the physical cost. Other members spoke about it openly. Jin and RM both expressed concern during behind-the-scenes content about Jimin not eating enough and not resting when he needed to. Suga, who understood pain from his own shoulder injury that plagued him for years, recognized what Jimin was doing to himself. BigHit released official statements about Jimin's health condition on multiple occasions, which in the K-pop industry is itself a signal. Companies only issue health statements when the situation has escalated beyond what can be quietly managed. What made Jimin's defiance different from ordinary stubbornness was the intent behind it. He was not breaking the rest rule out of ego or rebellion. He broke it because his sense of responsibility to the people watching was stronger than his sense of self-preservation. In an industry where idols have been hospitalized, where young performers have collapsed on live television from overwork, Jimin's refusal to step back was both inspiring and deeply concerning. It revealed a tension that BigHit could never fully resolve. How do you protect someone who does not want to be protected? The company could issue directives, but they could not override the will of someone who believed that every fan in that audience deserved to see him dance, regardless of what it cost him physically. And if an idol defying direct medical orders from his own company only reaches number 4 on this list, the rules broken in the top 3 are on an entirely different level.
Number 3. J-Hope, the sunshine who showed his storm. In K-pop, every member of a group is assigned a role, not just a musical role, but a personality. The leader, the visual, the maknae, the mood maker. These are not casual labels. They are brand identities managed by the company, reinforced through variety shows, interviews, and every second of on-camera content. BigHit built Jung Ho Seok's public persona around one concept: sunshine. J-Hope was BTS's energy source, the one who kept spirits high during exhausting schedules, who turned tense moments into laughter, who made fans smile just by walking into frame. That persona was not fake. Hoseok is genuinely warm and charismatic, but it was curated. BigHit expected consistency. On camera, J-Hope was supposed to radiate positivity at all times. That was the brand, and the brand was not supposed to crack. Then came Burn the Stage. The 2018 YouTube Originals documentary series gave fans unprecedented access to what happened behind BTS's concert stages during the Wings tour, and what the cameras captured was something BigHit's image management playbook never planned for. Jung Ho Seok, furious. During rehearsals, J-Hope's role quietly shifted from mood maker to enforcer. As BTS's main dancer and the member most responsible for choreography execution, he held every member to a standard that had no room for compromise. When that standard was not met, the sunshine disappeared. The cameras documented real confrontation. J-Hope's frustration was visible and sharp, directed not at anyone personally, but at the gap between what the performance needed to be and what was being delivered in rehearsal. There was tension with other members. The atmosphere backstage became heavy. This was not scripted variety show bickering designed for laughs. This was genuine conflict, the kind entertainment companies spend their entire existence keeping away from public eyes. What made this moment seismic was the context. Viewers knew J-Hope as the member who danced to make others happy. They had never seen anger in his eyes. They had never heard that edge in his voice. And buried beneath that frustration was a story most fans already knew. Years earlier, during BTS's training period, BigHit had considered cutting J-Hope from the debut lineup entirely. He nearly lost everything before it even started. Jungkook reportedly cried when he heard the news. Members rallied together and ultimately the company reversed its decision. But that scar never fully healed. J-Hope's obsession with perfection was not arrogance, it was survival. He knew what it felt like to almost be erased, and he refused to let any performance be less than what the group was capable of, because he understood better than anyone that none of this was guaranteed. The unwritten rule at BigHit was simple: keep the image clean, keep the members polished, keep conflict invisible. J-Hope shattered that rule not with a reckless outburst, but with raw honesty that the cameras happened to be recording. He showed fans that the sunshine had storms, that the mood maker carried weight, and that the member who smiled the widest sometimes fought the hardest behind closed doors. BigHit could have buried that footage. Instead, they included it in the final cut, perhaps recognizing that authenticity had become more valuable than perfection. But the decision to show it was the company's. The decision to be real was Hoseok's, and that choice broke every image management rule BigHit had ever set. If the member who shattered his own persona only lands at number 3, the final 2 broke rules that went far beyond image.
Number 2. Jungkook, the body that became a rebellion.
In South Korea, tattoos occupy a complicated space between cultural taboo and legal gray area. Under Korean law, only licensed medical professionals are technically permitted to perform tattooing, pushing the entire industry into semi-underground status. On television, broadcast regulations require visible tattoos to be covered, blurred, bandaged, or hidden by clothing. For K-pop idols, whose careers depend on constant television exposure, this creates an unspoken but absolute rule: do not get tattooed. Every major entertainment company in the industry understood this. BigHit understood it. And Jungkook decided it did not apply to him. The tattoos first appeared in September 2019. Fans spotted new ink on Jungkook's right hand during a public appearance, small but unmistakable. Across his knuckles, 4 letters that no one could misread: ARMY. The name BTS gave their fan base, permanently etched into his skin. It was a declaration, not a decoration, and it was only the beginning. Over the following months and years, Jungkook's tattoo collection expanded dramatically. More designs appeared on his hand: a crown, a skeleton hand, a tiger lily, a heart, the letter J. The ink crept up his arm, growing denser and more intricate, eventually building toward what became a full sleeve. Each new tattoo was a fresh logistical problem for BigHit. Every Korean broadcast appearance required the company to deploy an arsenal of concealment: long sleeves in the middle of summer, carefully placed bandages, heavy stage makeup, fingerless gloves that conveniently covered his knuckles. Stylists worked overtime to design outfits that hid what Jungkook was openly showing everywhere else. Because outside Korean television, the tattoos were on full display: at international concerts, during live performances abroad, in selfies posted on social media. Jungkook made no effort to hide his ink from the world. The contrast was stark and deliberate. On a Korean music show, his hand was wrapped like he had an injury. On stage at a sold-out stadium in Los Angeles, the same hand was bare, every letter visible to 60,000 people. BigHit was caught in a position no entertainment company wants to occupy, publicly accommodating a rule violation they could not reverse. You cannot untattoo an idol. You cannot discipline away ink that is already under the skin. And you especially cannot punish the most popular member of the biggest group in the world for a personal choice that fans overwhelmingly celebrated. Because that was the twist BigHit never anticipated. ARMY did not reject Jungkook's tattoos. They embraced them. The ARMY tattoo across his knuckles became one of the most iconic symbols in the fandom's history. Fans got matching ink. The design appeared on merchandise, fan art, and social media profiles worldwide. Jungkook had turned a rule violation into a love letter, and punishing a love letter was not a battle any company could win. He also added piercings, eyebrow, and lip, further pushing the boundaries of BigHit's carefully maintained visual standards for the group. Each addition was another line crossed, another quiet statement that Jungkook's body belonged to Jungkook himself, not to a brand guideline document in a company office. What made this rule break rank at number 2 was not just the act itself, but what it represented. In an industry that treats idols as products to be polished and controlled, Jungkook permanently altered the product. He did it knowing the company would have to accommodate him, knowing Korean television would have to work around him, and knowing that every bandage they wrapped around his hand only drew more attention to what was underneath. But even a member rewriting the rules of his own body does not take the top spot, because number 1 broke a rule that shook the entire industry.
Number 1, V. The love that broke the unbreakable rule. Of every regulation in the K-pop industry, diet control, image management, social media restrictions, content embargoes, there is one rule that sits above all others: the dating ban. It is the foundation on which the entire idol economy is built. The business model depends on a carefully maintained illusion of availability. Fans invest emotionally, financially, and psychologically into the idea that their idol exists in a space untouched by romantic attachment. Entertainment companies understood decades ago that the moment an idol is confirmed to be in a relationship, a portion of that emotional investment fractures.
album sales shift, fan cafe memberships drop, online communities fracture into factions of support and betrayal. For the biggest groups, the financial risk of a confirmed relationship can be measured in millions of dollars. Every company enforces this rule differently, but the expectation is universal. If you date, no one can know. BigHit founder Bang Si-hyuk publicly stated that BTS was not under an absolute dating prohibition, framing it instead as strong advisory guidance. In practice, the message was the same: keep it invisible. For years, all 7 members maintained that wall. Rumors surfaced and faded, speculation came and went. No confirmation ever broke through. Then came Kim Tae-young. In 2022, photographs began appearing online showing V together with Jennie Kim of BLACKPINK, one of the most famous female idols on Earth, managed by YG Entertainment, a direct rival agency in the Korean music industry. The images were not paparazzi shots taken from a distance. They were private photographs, allegedly obtained through hacking of personal accounts, showing V and Jennie together in multiple locations over what appeared to be an extended period. The photos spread across every social media platform within hours. The K-pop internet did not just react, it detonated. HYBE's initial response followed the standard industry playbook: careful, non-committal, designed to neither confirm nor deny, but the volume of evidence made silence unsustainable. More photos surfaced over the following months, each one adding weight to what the world already believed. Eventually, both agencies confirmed what could no longer be hidden. V and Jennie had been in a relationship. For BTS, this was not just a dating confirmation, it was the first publicly verified romantic relationship involving any member of the group in their entire career. The wall that had held for nearly a decade came down, and it came down around the most unpredictable member of the group. The shockwave through ARMY was seismic and divided. Millions of fans expressed support, arguing that V deserved happiness and privacy in his personal life. Others felt betrayed, not necessarily by the relationship itself, but by the breach of the unspoken contract between idol and fan that had defined BTS's bond with their audience since 2013. What elevated this beyond a typical K-pop dating scandal was the identity of both parties. This was not a minor idol seen with a civilian. This was a member of BTS, the most commercially successful group in Korean music history, confirmed to be dating a member of BLACKPINK, the most successful female group on the planet. 2 separate corporate empires, 2 meticulously controlled brand identities, 2 sets of fans numbering in the hundreds of millions, all colliding over a relationship that both companies had every incentive to make public. V did not break the dating rule with a quiet, hidden relationship that never surfaced. He broke it with the one person on Earth who made it impossible to hide. And that is exactly why it's number 1. Because when Kim Tae-young broke the rule, the entire industry felt it.
7 members, 7 rules broken. From Jin quietly eating on camera when the company said stop, to Suga releasing music the system could not contain, to RM spoiling what was supposed to stay secret, to Jimin refusing to leave a stage his body begged him to leave, to J-Hope shattering the sunshine mask that was never the full picture, to V falling in love with the one person the industry could not afford him to love. Every single one of these moments proved the same thing. BTS was never just a group that followed instructions. They became the biggest act in the world precisely because they knew when the rule book needed to be closed. Now tell us, which rule break shocked you the most? Drop your answer in the comments, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on notifications because we are just getting started. See you in the next one.